So I went to the gynecologist and I told her all of my symptoms, which was like pain during intercourse and just not being able to get it in, trouble with tampons, really painful periods, and we came to the conclusion that I had vaginismus. I first realized that I had vaginismus when I finally tried having sex with my boyfriend at the time, and it wasn't working, and I thought that it was his fault. So I went to the urologist, and they gave me these prescription antibiotic pills. So that did start helping, but then later on it started getting worse. So I started going to the urologist again, and so she thought it was IC, which is like some sort of bladder condition that makes your bladder inflamed all the time. And so that wasn't it. So she sent me to a physical therapist, but it was weird because she didn't even tell me why. And that's when I knew something was up. After I went to the consultation with the physical therapist, she told me, oh, you probably have vaginismus.
So at first we were like, oh, is it endometriosis? And then kind of continued with my talk therapist, and she knew about it, and I of course had never heard about it like most people, I feel like, and explained to me what it was, and I was like, that sounds exactly like what I have. And then I went to my gynecologist, and she was like, yes, this is what you have.
Vaginismus is an involuntary spasm of the pelvic floor muscles, whether it be sexual intercourse, or having a pap smear, or even inserting a tampon. This perineia, pain with sex, can also come from other issues also, such as vestibulodynia, which is just pain in the vestibule, and that can be due to a multitude of reasons.
When my patients have pain with intercourse, often I like to go through the deeper muscles and sort of give an analogy to tension in your shoulders. So if you experience pain with sex, it can often be because there are tender points in these deeper pelvic floor muscles, which can happen with vaginismus as well, and that anticipation to pain. If our shoulders are too tight and they're not able to relax, we often get those painful knots. You can feel when your shoulders are sort of up to your ears, and then you can voluntarily relax them, and you can sort of rub out those painful knots yourself. But the same thing can happen in our pelvic floor because it's a very common place to hold tension in our body. We hold tension in our neck and our shoulders up here, and then we hold tension in our pelvic floor.
On the outside, I'll just palpate this with my finger and then put the needle right here and then tap it in. And then a lot of times I'll use electrical stimulation on those, the outside part of the needle, right on here. And then that'll help the muscle to relax a little bit more.
So I started going to physical therapy actually exactly a year ago. And I got dilators, which are basically like plastic medical dildos, and you're supposed to do Kegels with them and just chill out, watch Netflix, and have these plastic things up your vagina. It's great. I don't think that anything specifically triggered it. I think that from a young age, I always wanted my first time to be super special, and so when I finally found that person and I wasn't able to have sex, I think that also damaged my courage to do it with someone else. And now that we're broken up and the trust isn't there, it's hard to find someone else to do that with, because I do believe that has a lot to do with trust if I'm going to relax and follow through.
When the relationship first started, she had a lot of UTIs, and she went to multiple doctors about that, and pretty soon there was just a point where the penetrative sex just wasn't happening anymore, because those UTIs just became so intense. And pretty soon we came to find out that it wasn't actually UTIs, it was vaginismus.
It was weird at first because getting back, we both kind of expected to just jump back into sex again. And then I was like, oh, I'm actually terrified of this, and having spasmings, and have this huge now medical issue that I've never experienced.
So it's hard moving forward with vaginismus after my last relationship because being at the age that I'm at, there's a big hookup culture, and it's not that I don't want to, but like when you get to that point, it's kind of hard to stop and be like, actually, I can't, you know? And then they're like, why? And then you have to explain the whole like, I have this medical condition, and it's like, big turn off, you know?
Vaginismus affected our relationship because there was a lot of misunderstanding on my part as to just what was happening. I felt really like I was losing my partner a little bit.
At first, since it developed during the relationship, they weren't like super understanding of what was happening just because I didn't know it was happening either. But as soon as I officially got diagnosed and everything, it became a very like supportive relationship, and I would always question myself like, oh, does this person want to like break up with me because I can't have sex with them, but ultimately that didn't, I guess, ruin our relationship, so that's good.
Like, I think that it's important for men that like on the other side of the relationship, or women on the other side of the relationship, that they need to understand that it has nothing to do with them, or it might not have anything to do with them, but the best thing that they can do is just support their partner and give them their like attention. It's something that you really have no control over, so you should really just give your support.
I actually didn't tell anyone except for my partner at the time that I had difficulty having sex. Like, even I didn't really even tell my parents either. I was ashamed to tell my friends because I felt like, especially at this like time in our lives, like people are always like having sex all the time, you know? So I just like felt very insecure about it. But then I was able to, like, as soon as I went to treatment, I started talking about it more because I was like more excited about like getting better. Like the idea of getting better helped me like motivate myself to feel more confident about it. Yeah.